Well, hi there. It's Brian Perez, and this is the K-Wave Radio Network, K-Wave 107.9. I am joined in the studio by someone whom I've been a fan of for years. Let's just put it that way. So to have her here in the studio with me is really, really cool. Crystal Lewis, welcome to K-Wave.
Thank you.
This is just awesome. I remember listening to your music years ago when you first started on, I was listening to KWMS.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
And that's kind of the little station that launched your, is it the station that launched your career, at least here in Southern California? How did that happen?
That happened because, so my dad, I grew up in Anaheim, and my dad pastored the Anaheim First Church of the Nazarene, and someone from our church heard on KYMS, hey, there's an audition for this musical called High Tops, and it's this new thing that Ernie and Debbie Rutino are doing, and she called my mom and said, Mary, you should take Crystal to this audition. I was 15 years old, and so my mom brought me to Calvary Costa Mesa, and I did the audition and got the part of Lily of the Valley. And
so the audition was here at Calvary Chapel, Costa Mesa. Can we turn the cameras to point to Calvary? It's over there. Anyway.
There.
Right there. Yes.
So funny. Yeah. So that was my first experience with Calvary. So one thing led to another. I did the musical High Tops, and then met a guy that was also at the audition who was in a SoCal rockabilly band called The Lifters, and we ended up becoming friends. I ended up joining the band. We changed the name to Wild Blue Yonder, and we got signed to Frontline Records, and that is so KYMS was a part of the journey from the very beginning. My friend having heard about the audition on it, but then, of course, we spent lots of time at the station after that, so. That's
where I first met you. I don't know if you remember. You probably don't. You've met thousands of people in forever. But you came in one morning to do an interview on the morning show. Ken Cooper was the host. I was the producer of the show. So
funny.
After the interview, we went into the production room and you recorded some liners for us. And
like
stuff
with
that.
Wild Blue Yonder?
No, just as yourself. This was in 1994.
Oh,
or maybe 95.
Okay.
But
how crazy.
Yeah. So the morning host, he said, yeah, go get her to record some liners that say you're listening to Ken Cooper in the morning, that kind of thing.
That's so funny.
And I looked around. Well, he's not here, so I'm going to ask her to do one for my overnight show. And you did, and it was great because I had gotten a few other people to do it, and it was just very basic, like, hi, this is Joe Schmo, and you're listening to Brian Perez on KYMS.
I love it.
But you said, and I still remember it because I have it on a reel-to-reel or something somewhere, but it was, hi, this is Crystal Lewis, and you're up late, like me, with Brian Perez on KWVE. And I was just like, that is so cool. Played it for all my friends. Listen, guys. So it was cool. But anyway, yeah, so it was really awesome to...
I have a long history of going off book.
Yeah, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. It's ad-libbing. So listening to you in the early days and Take My Hand, Precious Lord was the first song that everybody...
Oh, my goodness.
Do you remember the first time you heard that song on the radio? I mean...
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was on KYMS, of course, because I was an Orange County local at the time. So, yeah.
Who there at the station? Do you remember any of the names of the
I don't.
people that may
I'm
have
so
the,
embarrassed to
no,
say
that's
that I
fine.
don't.
That's fine. No, that was... What year was that?
That was 87.
Okay.
88.
Okay.
Because that Wild Blue Yonder came out, I want to say, like 85, 86. And then my first solo album, Beyond the Charade, on Frontline, released fall of 87. And I remember that because I had graduated from high school earlier that year. I had started at Point Loma College in San Diego and received a box of records, like vinyl. Don't know if you've heard of them.
What are those?
At my college dorm when the record first came out. So that was like before it was, actually in the store. I got a box of vinyl of my record. So 87.
And they give you those to sell at concerts and stuff, or what was the, or just
no,
as
they
a,
don't give them to you. You have to purchase them.
Oh,
but I think that was, I don't remember if that was just a gift, that they said, guess what, it's here. But,
right.
But yeah.
How cool, though.
I have a handful left at home, by the way.
Oh, very good. Are they on eBay yet, or hopefully it won't come to that, right?
Yeah, hopefully it will not. I'm afraid. I would be so terrified to be like, I got $2 from the sale of this record.
No.
I'll just keep them.
No, but it was really cool to see you moving up in the world, so to speak, and then you got to perform at some of the Harvest Crusades with Greg Laurie. What was that like?
Yeah, that's been amazing.
Yeah.
It's been...
And you still do it. It's not like that was a long time ago.
That was, let's see, this year was their 25th year. And I attended the very first one in 89 and sang at the second one, started singing at the second one. And I think over the last 25 years, I've been at all but 2 or 3. So
very cool.
Yeah, it became like family. It was kind of like it wasn't just once a year. I was out at Harvest multiple times a year, and Monday night here at Calvary with Greg. Often.
Right.
So
yeah,
it's been a beautiful thing.
Now before you there's a TV show called Roundhouse that used to be on. My producer, Chad, said, make sure to ask her about Roundhouse. Nobody asks her about Roundhouse. So I'm like, okay, I'll ask her about Roundhouse. So it's the first thing on my notes here.
I love it.
Tell us about Roundhouse. What is it? Is it available on YouTube? Can we find old
YouTube is
clips
about the only place that you can find it, actually.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that was a show that was developed by Benny Hester.
Benny Hester.
Yeah.
Okay.
He and I were label mates on Frontline. And in the early days, she was his fiance, but now they're married. And it was actually a group of 3. It was Benny, Rita, and a guy named Buddy. And Buddy and Rita actually had developed this show called Roundhouse years prior, and then Benny came into the picture, and they started developing it for TV, and so I became a part of the earliest moments of it, getting to be a part of the pilot and shopping it. We did it at Second City in LA. We did it at Universal in LA to get networks to come and look at it, and Nickelodeon is the network that eventually picked it up. And so I was a part of the filming of the pilot in Orlando, and then we did 1 season. So I was only on the first season of the show, but it was it was the best season.
Of course.
But it was so much fun, and it was it's where I met a lot of musicians that I continue to work with today.
Cool.
One of the engineer on the show, Dan Garcia, has become a lifelong friend, and he's worked on Beauty for Ashes and Gold, and what else did he do? Plain and Simple. He's mixed a bunch of stuff for me. We've recorded at his house. I mean, he just is awesome. So lots of good things that came out of that epic experience. Yeah.
Speaking of people from your past, all the other artists that you used to tour with back in the 80s and 90s, like, I'm just throwing names out there. I don't know if you actually ever toured with them, but I'm going back to the KYMS days, because I was a listener before I started working there. So it was just one of those blessings that I knew I wanted to get into radio from the time I was like 10 years old. And after I became a Christian in high school, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do now, And then a friend of mine said, oh, have you heard of the station called KYMS? They play like contemporary. And I'm like, what do you mean contemporary? It's not supposed to be contemporary. What are you talking about? So I tuned in, and I was just like, wow. So then I was like, Lord, is this a door you're opening? Am I going to? So a couple years later, I did start working there. And anyway, all that to say, all the artists that we used to play back then, the Brian Duncans, John Gibsons, Randy Stonehill, all these. Do you keep in contact with any of them, or how does?
I have worked with Brian a number of times over the years. Yes. Who else? Oh, there's a guy named Kenny Riley who used to be in a band called Common Bond. He is in Albuquerque, and my husband Brian, and I have, we see he and his wife Paula whenever we're in Albuquerque. Who else? I've run into John Gibson a handful of times, but not a ton. But
right.
Yeah, it's a small circle, and when I find that even people like the Katinas, who I love so much, and we've been communicating via social media as we both are posting pictures of being in airports that the other one was just in or are going to, and so our paths cross often in the air, and we see each other in airports. But yeah,
how fun! Yeah. No, because I was just thinking in my mind how cool it would be to do some kind of a reunion concert or something.
Yeah.
And now that you're here, I'm going to put you on the spot and see if you'll. No, I'm joking. But no, I would just think it would be cool to especially with next year, 2015, being 20 years since KYMS was sold and everything else.
Oh, wow.
And of course, there's other Christian radio
been that
stations that have come
long?
along and have kind of taken over, you could say. But
Yeah.
it would just be kind of cool to see what all the different bands and stuff are up to from back then. But
Yeah.
So you're here in town. You don't even live here in town anymore. You're in town
Sadly,
because
no.
you're doing a couple of well, first of all, we're recording this on a Tuesday, and tomorrow night, Wednesday night, you're going to be at Calvary Chapel, Costa Mesa. That is so cool.
I'm so excited. A couple of months ago, I was here with my daughter, Izzy, and she sang on a Wednesday night. And it was the most bizarre deja vu, surreal moment to be. I was tucked behind the stage, like peeking out and just weeping over the fact that was me when I was her age. And just so crazy how things change and move on. And so I am thrilled to get to be in that building with those people behind that microphone. Yeah, it's going to be nice.
How is Izzy doing?
She's
got her
doing
second album now?
Yes, her second album just released in October. And the unbiased musician person, not the mother, thinks it's a rad record.
Awesome.
I just think it's a fantastic creative endeavor, and I'm really, really proud of her heart and the lyrics that have come out of her head, and just very cool.
So she writes these songs too. These aren't just that's cool. That's cool.
She's far beyond where I was at 18, for sure. She just has a little more mature mind than I did.
When did you realize, or when did she tell you, "Mom, I want to be a singer, Mom"? Or how did you know that? How did she know this is what she wanted to do?
It's been a process, really. But when we lived here, I had both kids in piano, of course, from the time they were 4 or 5. And when we moved to Montana, one of the first things that Izzy said was, "Okay, can we start something new? I really don't enjoy the piano." And Solomon, my son, was the one that I had to say, "Okay, we're done practicing for today." He just would not leave the piano alone. Whereas Izzy, it was like, "Okay, I'm going to count to 3 again. If you don't go practice," So she said, "Well, let me try the guitar." "Okay, fine. I'll give you that. You can't stop altogether, but if you want to try a different instrument, you can." And she picked it up, and then I had the same issue with her and the guitar that I'd had with Solomon and the piano. She just, "Okay, seriously, you have to go to bed. You have got to put the guitar down."
Right.
And, that's when you know that, okay, there's a gift here somewhere, or at least a passion. Let's see where this goes.
Yeah.
And so she was about 10, 11 when we moved there and when she picked up the guitar. So it did not take long for her to just start figuring out chords. She took lessons and stuff, but then she just was at it all the time and started writing little songs and little praise songs and things like that.
Right.
And we recorded her first album when she was 15. So she started playing at the church we were going to up there and got plugged in playing for the youth group and then in the sanctuary. And she just kind of grew exponentially, like real quick. And so, yeah.
So you never pushed her into it or anything?
No,
this is just
heavens
something
no.
That, at the same time, though, you didn't try to stop her from doing it.
No.
Because I would think that there might be people. I mean, one of my biggest fears is that one of my kids is going to say, "Dad, I want to go into radio." I'd be like, "No."
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I know.
But, I mean, because, the music business and everything can be kind of spotty, I guess you can say.
Absolutely, and especially today. I mean, it's very, very different from the way that it was when I was 18, 20, 30. I mean, really, it's changed dramatically in the last 5 years, let alone the last, 12 or 15. So she's walking into an industry that, in one sense, Brian and I have a handle on. We've got history, we've got experience, our foundation is there, we get it. There's things that we can help with based on our experience. On the other hand, there are parts of the industry that are so dramatically different that we're kind of finding our way and navigating new obstacles and the way that it works now too. So we can kind of help each other in that because, people who are 18, they just know stuff when it comes to technology, etc. So, it's.
Do you think it has to do with the fact that a lot of the big secular labels now own the Christian labels? Because I remember
No.
years ago we used to think, wow, Christian music is just as good as some of the stuff that's being. Why can't we just, get airplay on all the other stations?
Yeah.
And then little by little, the big companies started buying the smaller companies, and we looked at it as, wow, exposure, finally. But it's come with a cost. I mean,
Right.
there's just been a few things that you
Yeah.
wonder, really?
And
wow, maybe.
I think there remains an unnecessary division, just musically. I mean, hopefully there is a major difference lyrically. I mean, that's kind of the point
Right.
of Christian music.
Mm-hmm.
Musically, there doesn't need to be as big of a division as there is, and yet, in spite of the fact that for the most part, these larger companies own the smaller Christian companies,
Right.
there still remains a pretty clear division musically. And I don't think that's all bad, but I think that we as creatives can work on bridging that gap. We can push the envelope a little bit as far as just the sound goes. We don't have to stay within some box just because we're singing about Jesus. And I don't think that should change. I don't think that we need, as believers, to water down our message in any way.
Right.
To get people to hear the truth. I mean, we don't water down the Bible, I hope, to get that message across. So if our lyrics are stemming from Scripture, then there's no need for that. That's one thing, side note, that I love about Izzy's record is that it is blatant
Awesome.
truth.
Mm-hmm.
And yet musically, it's not like anything that I've heard within the Christian
Right.
division of things, if you will. But I don't think that the dramatic change in the industry has to do with that, with the the bigger companies and smaller companies and whatever.
Okay.
It's just technology. It's just the way that things are morphing, and the way that we're finding music accessible so easily. We used to sell. We started our own label in 1992, Metro One, and we used to sell $20 CDs. I mean, that's how much CDs were. They were $21.99, and if you broke it or lost it, you bought another one. And that's just not the case anymore. People are buying 99-cent songs or $1.29 songs rather than whole records, and it makes making a living as a label extremely difficult and dramatically different. So, navigating those things as an artist, I mean, with things like Spotify and Pandora and all of that, I mean, we're literally talking pennies. So your ability to make a living as an artist has drastically diminished. And so that's where a lot of those changes occur, and where, honestly, we're so grateful for radio, because with social media and all of that stuff that's out there, Facebook and YouTube and everything, you have the ability to promote your music in ways that we did not. It was KYMS or nothing, in 89.
Yeah.
Today, you've got all these different avenues, and yet, oh my goodness, it remains extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Really, really, really hard. So that would be the reason that I would say to my daughter, are you sure? Like, this is an uphill battle you're getting ready to fight as an independent artist. But,
Besides Izzy, who are some of your favorite artists nowadays? And if you leave anybody out, don't take offense if you're listening.
Yeah.
And, because I'm sure there's more than a few.
Oh, yes.
Who are some of your favorites right now?
I tend to...
or maybe the answer is none. I don't like anybody. It's not like it was back in the 80s. No.
I still love 80s music.
Yes.
I am a diehard gospel fan, so I continue to support and adore Mary Mary and Kirk Franklin and CeCe Winans and Donnie McClurkin and Yolanda Adams.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just, as odd as it sounds, I feel like that's my people. I really just, my family is so funny because, some certain music will come on and I will just be sitting there, and then if a Mary Mary song comes on or a Kirk Franklin song comes on, it's over. It's like, oh, she likes that one. Like, you can just, I'm a terrible liar because my body language betrays me. So I'm a gospel music fan, basically. But cool. I also continue to love Aretha Franklin and Shaka Khan and
Mm-hmm.
Sade and those kinds of things that just feel real good to me.
Right. Right.
Make me happy. They're new artists, pretty much all girls, although I love Johnny Lang.
Yes.
Love Johnny Lang.
Yes.
I love the Roots. I love, there's a British young lady by the name of Leanne LaHavis that's fantastic, really creative and unique. I like her. I love Tori Kelly. She's another young artist that's up and coming, beautiful believer, making her way in the world and shining bright light
Awesome.
in places where she goes. That's pretty cool. Who else?
Just pull out your iPod and see who's on it.
Oh, that's so telling.
Yes, exactly. Wow, look at that playlist. Quite a mix. How's Metro One doing these days? Is it still...
Metro One, its head is above water, doggone it. We've seen really, really great seasons, and we've seen really difficult seasons. And like I said, we are continuing to navigate our way through the choppy waters of
Right.
the current industry. But, we have 2 artists signed to it still, me and Izzy. So we're still very grateful to Word Distribution for
Cool.
We've been with them since '96, and they're just awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then this coming Friday night, December 19th, you're going to be at the Lido Theater in Newport Beach. Is that theater named after Boz Scaggs, by the way?
I don't have any idea. Have you ever seen a movie there?
No.
Okay.
No, but I've heard it's...
We used to live down there,
Okay.
and Brian and I would ride our bikes to the theater, and we'd see movies sit in the balcony, or we'd go to In-N-Out, and we would... Sorry, this is a very terrible thing to confess, but we would stick In-N-Out in a big bag, and take it up to the balcony and eat it in the theater. Some of our favorite date night memories occurred in that theater. It was just a really beautiful, old, cool, nostalgic place.
Yeah.
These beautiful big murals on the walls that glow in the dark. And it's just a neat place. And recently, maybe 4 months ago, I was down there having lunch at Bear Flag Tacos next door. And I saw that it said, who was it? Smokey Robinson, or I don't know, someone was going to be playing there. I'm like, wait a minute. This was not a concert venue before.
Right.
This was a movie theater. And so we walked in and looked around, and it's still a movie theater, but they've added a stage, and they've just changed some things around and upgraded it. And it is beautiful. And so I made a couple calls and called a promoter friend and called my husband and just said, what do you think about doing something there? And so, somehow by some beautiful miracle of God, we are going to be there on Friday night.
And it's not just a concert, it's a Christmas concert. So
Yes.
are you going to be singing, do you get to choose which songs you're going to sing? Or how does
yes,
that? Okay.
yes.
So it's all of
It's
Crystal's
all
favorite. It's
Christmas.
Crystal's playlist.
Yeah, exactly, but only of me. I would love to do some Aretha songs, but probably not for this event. I recorded an album in 2000 or 2001, called Holiday. And it was a Christmas album. It was we recorded it live over the course of 3 days, and it was with me, a drummer by the name of Peter Erskine, a bass player by the name of Dave Carpenter, and an extraordinary pianist by the name of Alan Pasqua. And they are legendary jazz musicians that travel the world, and everyone in the jazz world knows who they are. Peter Erskine has played for everyone from Steely Dan and people like that way back in the 70s and 80s to I don't even know who now. I think today. I think they just got back from Japan yesterday.
Oh, wow.
So just in time. But they're epic, amazing players. And so they played on that record, and that's who's playing with me on Friday.
Right.
So I'm very excited to just sort of relive that album. Really, and then I did a second Christmas album just a couple years ago, and Alan played on that as well, the pianist. So we'll be doing some songs from that. And
Oh, cool.
yeah,
Oh, cool.
I'm thrilled.
So it's this Friday night, December 19th at the Lido Theater in Newport, and all the details are at kwave.com. We've even got a link where you can buy tickets. And so all these artists you were mentioning that you love listening to Aretha and everything. You've gotten to play with a few of the big names in,
Yes.
What's that been like? And what is there somebody still on your list of people that you'd like to?
Oh, I have
sing
not been able to sing live or record with Mary yet, Erica and Tina.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, or Johnny Lang, by the way. So,
So if you're listening or watching,
that is a dream. But really, I mean, I've sung with Yolanda Adams and CeCe Winans and Kirk Franklin, and I mean, those people are so authentic and so real and so great at what they do. They are iron sharpening people as well as just beautiful creative musicians. So, they're awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Crystal, thanks for stopping by. How can people keep in touch with you? Web, Facebook, etc.
CrystalLewis.com has all the pertinent info, I guess.
Right,
I don't know.
Right. It's best to have...
Is info pertinent about yourself? I don't really know.
Right. So they just go there, and then they can get on your Facebook and on your Twitter and everything else you might do.
Yeah.
Everything else that might come up in the next few months.
Well, and I'm in the middle of working on a new album, and probably many people are very aware because they're probably as impatient as I am with the fact that we did a Kickstarter campaign a year and a half ago.
Okay.
And so that's the album that I'm working on, and Lord willing, it'll be out by midsummer.
Oh, cool.
And
all right.
So yeah, lots to keep up with, and pray for me about, because it's been a difficult journey, but I'm excited to
That's awesome.
bring it to life. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Crystal, thanks for stopping by. And,
My pleasure.
It's like I say, for me, it was just awesome to sit down and talk with you. And
Thank you.
It's just great. So,
Thank you.
all
For
right.
me too.
All right. God bless. We'll see you this Friday night at the Lido Theater.
Yes, sir.
All right.